Hello, hello. Hello, hello. It says I'm live. Testing to see if I'm live. What is up, my people? Let's see here. I think I'm live. Welcome. Today is all about how to get great clients on social media. This is Rockstars Unplugged, a weekly live stream with Rockstar Organizers. I'm Holly Sutherland. I'm the founder of Rockstar Organizers. I've been a full-time coach for professional organizers for the last 5 years, helping you get to 10K months, working only 2 days a week with clients. It's true. This can happen. That was true for me for several years. I was an organizer for about 15 years before I went into full-time coaching. Now it's been about 17 or 18 years since I started in 2008. I've been around the block with what works and what doesn't work with organizers, and I'm here to share some of that with you today. So I would love to know if you're tuning in and if we are indeed live. I'm looking in the group to see if we are working. It looks like we got at least one person tuned in. So I think that means I'm live. Comment if you can hear me and see me and if you're ready for this. Testing out all this new software and trying to figure out what the heck I'm doing sometimes. It still has the option to start live video. This is so tricky sometimes. Okay, we're just going to go with it as if it's live. Okay, so number one, I want to hear a little bit about you. Where do you live? Where are you tuning in from? And number two, I want to hear, do you have a love or love-hate relationship with social media? Type that in the chat. So tell me where you're tuning in from. Do you love social media? Do you hate social media? Or do you kind of have this push-pull, love-hate? Sometimes you love it, sometimes you hate it. That's kind of me, if I'm being honest. A little bit of a love-hate. There's certain aspects of it that are fun. There's certain aspects of it that feel too tricky for me to understand. And if you're like me, sometimes you just wonder, can I just hire somebody else to do this for me? But yet you know in your heart that nobody else really sounds like you. Nobody else can really be you. And so there's some level of responsibility that you want to take. But if you think about the whole process, it feels overwhelming. So it's kind of like meal planning, right? You've got thinking about what you want to eat. So like, what ideas do you want to have for recipes? Then you got like the actual grocery shopping. Then you got like the actual prepping, and then the eating, and then the washing dishes afterwards. And it can feel like a lot, right? Social media is kind of the same way. And from what I've heard from Momentum members, the process can feel a little bit daunting. So I have a little slideshow that I want to share with you. I would love to be able to see comments, but I can't even find my own live video. I'm trying to tune in from my phone to see what's up. Samuel, are you here? Can you help me out? Can you send me a DM and tell me if I'm live or not? Oh, it's on my page, Rockstar Organizers page. Okay. I just would love to be able to see comments is all, but I can't really see comments. So what I'm going to do is share my screen and walk you through a little presentation I made for you. So I'm not 100% sure if this one is going to stay up on this group or if it's going to come down because it's really good. Oh, there we go. Okay, Shannon and Kirsten, I can see your comments over here. Okay, cool. Thank you all for that. Okay. Y'all ready for a little slideshow? I love making slideshows. Social media made easy for professional organizers. Here we go. All right, so I'm wondering if you've ever said these things to yourself. I don't know what to post on social media to get clients. You might have a lot of ideas, but you're not sure what to post to get clients. Type clients if you can relate to that. Or just type a number 1 if you've ever said that to yourself before. Type a number 1 if you've ever said, I don't know what to post to get clients. Now, number 2 is maybe sometimes you tell yourself, I get started on making posts and then I go down the rabbit trail. I get distracted. Oh, I had all these ideas and then I got distracted and fell off the wagon. And now I'm somewhere in Disneyland and I'm not sure where I am. Yeah, Kirsten says number 1. Or number 3, have you ever just said, I want to hire someone to do social media for me, but I'm afraid it's not going to sound like me? Type number 3 if that's you. You want to hire someone, you've thought about, okay, there's something you could outsource in your business. Maybe it could be social media, but there's this underlying fear that somebody is just going to make it sound too like Chat GPT-ish. That's been my most recent struggle. I did hire some help. He did use some AI inspiration. I still went in and edited it, but it was not quite me. So I pulled the plug and I'm kind of reworking my own strategy. So here are some problems that I hear from Momentum members. We asked them last week. So what are the things that bothers you about social media? What do you struggle with? Figuring out the algorithm, creating a calendar to actually do the things, content that attracts and encourages a sale. So that goes back to the getting clients piece of social media, spending time creating a graphic to post and it never getting as much attention as maybe the before and after posts, or how to make what draws new followers. And the biggest challenge is having content that speaks to my actual niche. Now we're going to go a little bit deeper on this, so stay tuned on this whole niche aspect. So can you relate to any of these? Can you relate? Just type relate if you relate to any of these. Figuring out the algorithm, creating a calendar to actually do it, getting new followers and keeping them interested, and then talking to your actual niche. Other members said their problem is whether to pay someone to do it or not, with the face. Too many ideas. Lacking the vision and the structure and the discipline. So this is an honest answer, to sit down and get it all scheduled out. How to create reels and the like that generate followers who convert to buyers and then share with their followers. And then reels with that quick, easy follow button. So can you relate to any of these? Creating time to do it, getting new followers, what's going to actually get them interested in following you, and then how to sit down and actually get it all scheduled out. So these problems all fall into these 4 main categories that I have determined. The niche is the first one, and that is at the top for a reason. The ideation phase, that's where somebody gets stuck in all these ideas. Then comes the creation. I notice people getting stuck in the creation phase whenever they get kind of twisted up with Canva and not really feeling confident with the tech. And so they start fiddling with stuff and then they go off and try to find a tutorial and then they get lost down the rabbit hole of who knows what. So the creation phase becomes overwhelming. And then you kind of tell yourself it doesn't look that good and it could look more professional, or it just doesn't really present that image that you're trying to present to your clients, especially if you're trying to get higher end clients and you're the one who doesn't have all these like fancy social media before and after posts or before and after photos from projects with like these well-lit photos that look like something from a magazine. So then you're fiddling with the lighting and you're like trying to make it brighter, but then it just like fades it out and you're like, it's frustrating. So the creation phase can sort of cause you to go in this little spiral loop downwards. That's like, what gives? Like, I'm not going to spend my time filling. I had all these great ideas, but I got stuck in the creation phase. Or you might even have like really good posts sitting on your Canva, but you just haven't taken the time to implement it. Or maybe you're not sure how to implement it. You're not sure of the steps of like, how could I batch schedule this with certain softwares or even Meta itself so that I don't have to be sitting at my computer every day doing social media, feeling like I'm spending all my time and it not even getting any likes or engagement. And so it can kind of leave you frustrated. So if you have ever felt frustrated with any of these things, just type that in the chat. Type frustrated. It's a common feeling that I hear from a lot of organizers is that social media feels frustrating. And I want to encourage you that it doesn't have to. And part of what doesn't have to feel frustrating is when you can break it down and figure out what part to focus on one step at a time if you're going to be the one doing it. Or maybe you look at these 4 sections and you're like, actually, I would love to hire somebody else to do that part. But whenever you just lump it all in to this thing about like social media, I'm going to hire someone to do my social media, then it becomes this daunting process because you want them to understand the industry. You want them to sound like you. You want them to pick good photos. Then it actually is like more work for you to go put the whole process together. So then you're like, oh, screw it. I'll just do it myself. So then you kind of just this hit or miss, right? Hit or miss, hit or miss. So where do you consistently find yourself getting stuck here? Is it in the niche and you're not really sure what your niche is? And so you're not sure who you're talking to? That's actually the most important piece of all of social media is knowing who you're talking to, believe it or not. And a lot of organizers resist niching down, but when they do, they find that everything else becomes easier. Do you find yourself stuck in the ideation phase? Like you're staring at this blank screen and you're like, I just don't know. It's like, can somebody just tell me what to post? And then maybe you see these people offering programs and templates and real post ideas and how to shake your booty to get more clients or whatever. And you're like, okay, they can give me ideas, but then you still got to do all this other part. It's kind of like new recipes, right? With the meal planning analogy. Well, somebody can give you new recipes, but you still got to like break it down, make the grocery list, go to the store, prep it. Well, then you might get stuck prepping it because you're like, I don't know how to cook asparagus. So then you're Googling YouTube videos about how to cook asparagus without it making it too stiff. Well, maybe it's kind of like that with your social media. You find yourself getting at one point in this process and then veering out of this loop right here. So where do you find yourself getting stuck here? Is it 1, 2, 3, or 4? Type in the comments. Is it the niche? Type number 1. Is it the ideation phase of coming up with what to actually post, which would be number 2? Is it the creation phase of putting it into Canva, putting in the templates, making the reels? Is that what it is? Or is it the implementation phase? So here's my question. What are some of your goals with social media? That's going to help us to come up with what you're going to do that's going to work for you. I see Shannon saying 3, 3, 3, 3. Kirsten says 4 with a dash of 3. Okay, so 3 was the creation. Yeah, the creation phase for sure. Devetta says 2, the ideation phase. So what are some of your goals? Like if you could literally wave a magic wand and something were to happen with your social media, what would you really love to see happen with it? What are some of your goals with your social media? I think a common one I hear is I want to get clients from social media. But I want to bust up a little bit of a myth with that. You don't actually get clients. What you do is you make new contacts and you start more conversations, but the actual getting clients and getting them to pay you the cash to hit your bank account, so you stop feeling so anxious every time you open your online app for your bank, happens in a conversation, and it happens off of social media. So I want you to just Relieve the pressure from yourself that you have to get clients from social media, even if that's one of your goals. So when you change your goal, you can actually reach it easier. So would you be open to hear it if those goals are not what a business owner should really be expecting? Type open in the chat if you would be open. If you're like, well, the goals that I think I want for social media are not really the goals that are realistic for a business owner. And I get it. Some of you have not been business owners before. This is your first business. And even that, you're like, I don't feel like a businesswoman. I feel like a great organizer, but this whole business side of things feels kind of scary, if I'm honest. Yeah. So Devetta says increased visibility and engagement with my ideal clients. Shannon says be better at speaking to my ideal clients. Kirsten says find me, follow me, and ultimately buy from me. And choose me as their go-to call. Shannon says yes, open and nurture better. Yeah, those are all really great goals. So I just want to encourage you to back the goal up a little bit. Okay. Thank you, Grace. Having some tech things happening over here. All right, so back the goal up a little bit. So some of y'all came to my challenge in March called Get Clients on Demand. And I talked about this process of seed time and harvest. So I've got this beautiful field next to my house that I love watching the sunset. Just gives me goosebumps sometimes sitting on my porch watching the beautiful sunset in the west and watching the hay balers come over and bale the hay. And there's just something so satisfying about that field. And I also have these big oak trees in my property. And those did not happen overnight. And that field does not harvest overnight. There's a seed, and then there's time, and then comes the harvest, usually 3 or 4 months later. Just the laws of how the world works, honestly. So with social media, if you post something and expect to get a response and for it to lead to a client without having nurtured it and responded back to that person and engaged with them over a period of at least 3 or 4 months, it is not very realistic to expect that you're going to get clients from you, because sometimes people see you and sometimes they don't. But they need to see your face and your name a lot, sometimes before they're ready to buy from you. So it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months. So it's not going to be really encouraging to you if you post for 2 months every single day and then you kind of burn yourself out and you kind of go on this all or nothing sprint, like I'm going to do it. And you just fall off the wagon because you didn't see the results you wanted, right? So a real key to this is the actual consistency. So I'm wondering why you would follow someone on social media. What's your perspective on why you would hit the follow button? What interests you that other people post? It might be pretty similar with what people are going to be interested in from you. Another question I have is what draws you to others' accounts? So that's different than why you would follow someone, but what draws you? You might see something but not follow them right away, and then you might see a few things and then follow, right? So why do you follow and what draws you to someone? I just want you to start noticing within yourself, okay? For me, I was thinking about this. It's things that make me think. Yeah, Kirsten says they make me laugh or relate to my pain. Yeah, that's so true. They're relatable, have good tips. Yeah. So tips are just one part of this, and they are a good part. But it took me a while to figure out that just giving how-to tips as my only social media strategy was not really going to get the done-for-you clients who would be watching my social media account as if they wanted to buy from me. What I found is that the how-tos attracted a lot of DIY clients because they're there for the info, but they're not really there to buy. And remember, a lot of you want to ultimately get clients, 3 steps down the road from your social media, but how-to posts are typically not going to bring that type of person. There's this song I've been seeing on a reel lately, and it's this old lady. She sings that song, a little parody. She sings a parody of the song, "My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard." My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. I'm sure it's a little bit inappropriate when you actually get into the meaning of the song, but every time I see that reel, it makes me laugh and it attracts my attention, So there is something to be said for what brings the people to the yard, you know? It's the funny stuff. It's the relatable things. And it's not the actual features of what you do as much as it is the pains and the desires that relate to them with where they are in their life that would make them be interested in the features of what you do. So it's really meeting them where they're at and not talking about your thing, but talking about them and where they are and what they feel and what they want. So why would someone follow you on social media? If you were to look at your account and you were to take a quick scroll and you see yourself venting and you see yourself laying it all out there, would that intrigue someone to follow you? And I kind of had to have a little come to Jesus with myself about this a few years back. Because I didn't really know how to let out my negative feelings sometimes. And so I would kind of look for a little validation and commiseration on social media. But I realized, you know what? I can find that elsewhere. I can find that with God in my journal time. I can find that with my friends. I can find that with a trusted person and moving my body and exercising a little bit. And that would let out some of the frustration. So if you look at yours, why would someone choose to follow you? Like if I went to your account right now, could I tell you within the first 5, seconds, who exactly you're trying to reach, which is your niche? And could I find something that would interest me in following you to buy from you? And would I even know who you are? Like, would your face be on there, or are you just kind of this nameless, faceless, posting all these before and afters? Can y'all hear my ice maker? That was kind of loud. So if I did a social media review, and I asked, like, why would someone want to follow you? It's just a really good exercise as a mirror to reflect back and say, well, why would someone want to follow me? And really, a lot of it does come down to value. Is what you're offering valuable to them? And not just in the how-to sense, but is it valuable because it makes them feel validated in their pain? It makes them feel seen. It fans the flame of their dreams and shows them what's possible. It brings some brightness and laughter and smiles to their day. Does it bring value, or is it just this buy from me mentality? And the buy from me doesn't really long-term connect, and you're going to lose followers that way because they're going to feel like you're always selling. But social media is really not the place to sell. It's a place to connect. It's a place to get new people and new eyeballs. But it's very rare that you're going to actually sell something on social media. Even if you do have a link that invites them to the next step is usually going to be a phone call. And the phone call is where you're going to sell. So that should take some of the pressure off of having to get this perfect plan together like somebody's going to buy from you. And this becomes one of the 8 buckets of social media and types of social media that I've seen work for busy professional clients and busy moms and downsizing seniors and even realtors. There's 8 buckets that I've noticed. Are y'all interested to hear what the 8 buckets are? Type buckets if you're interested in the buckets. Shannon says value is so important. My hard part. Yeah. Buckets, buckets, buckets. What's up, Carrie? Okay, I'm about to reveal the buckets. This is from a lot of years of studying what worked for me as an organizer, what has worked for my clients. I've helped many organizers reach 6 figures. And when I look at their social media, if they're doing it consistently and they're doing it well, this is what it looks like. Value is one piece of it, but it's also transformations. It's also displaying your expertise by calling out the myths and misconceptions about your industry and your work. It's displaying your availability. It's the magic wand questions that get them to engage with curiosity. It's showing faces. It's talking about the benefits and even the results of your services. And then talking about what services you offer in a way that's digestible to them. So these are the 8 buckets. So what makes sense to you from this so far? I'm curious. What makes sense to you from what I've showed you? I've showed you the 8 buckets, and I've showed you this diagram of 4 parts of the cycle. So which of these feels like a little bit of an aha to you? Is it the fact that the niche is really the starting point? Because then once you know your niche and who you're talking to, then you can really come up with specific ideas and narrow them down a little bit so you can start creating. And then once you've created, you can start implementing them. And honestly, I'll tell you a secret. This is the secret to batch creating social media content, is that you're doing the ideation phase at one time, which, by the way, we do have a retreat coming up for organizers for social media, August 15th and 16th, if you're interested, type retreat. Then batch creating them, and that's where some of the templates and things like that are going to come in. That is when Canva, tips and tricks, real templates, audio, all that kind of stuff comes in with the creation. But if you think that that's what you think of when you think of social media is the creation, but then you get in the middle of it and the ideas aren't really there, that's where you start spinning your wheels if you don't sort of separate these out. It's kind of like whenever you organize for someone, and I experienced this a lot actually when I organized full time. I would have an assistant, or even maybe the client themselves would want to start organizing before we had decluttered. And we were like mid pull out, and they would say, where are we going to put this? Do you think this would be a good idea to put it up here? And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. We're not even talking about where we're going to put stuff yet. We don't even know if we're keeping it yet. We haven't even wiped it down and like cleaned it off yet. It's still got dust all up in there. No, we're going to wait. And when you build a process, there's a reason there's a process. There's a process for a reason. Follow the steps, follow the process, and that's what's going to keep this moving, right? Now, if you change a niche, you're going to change your ideation. So you're always trying to come back to serving that niche. You're implementing it to be able to connect with them. You're looking at some of their engagement, getting more ideas for what you could post. You're creating things, you're implementing it, you're seeing how they respond. But I do want to tell you a secret. A lot of times the buyers are not going to be the ones commenting and engaging. I know it's a little bit of a shocker, but buying signals might be in the form of a comment with somebody asking for more, and you can definitely respond to that buying signal. My mentor, Nikki, says, anytime you get a buying signal, respond with an invitation. You see somebody commenting a lot, hey, I would love to chat. Would you like to hop on a call and see how I might be able to help you out, or how we could work together to help you do that? But oftentimes what happens and what I've seen, I mean, truth be told, my Waco Home Organizers Instagram account reached 1,000 followers at its height. I was pretty consistent with that one. When I got to Ann Arbor, my A2 Home Organizers account maybe had 300 or 400. I still made at least $150,000 a year as a home organizer for multiple years without a lot of social media engagement. I mean, honestly, if I'm really honest, I was kind of hit or miss with what I knew what to post. A lot of what I've learned has been from seeing what actually did work. And sometimes I would hit spurts of consistency, but it's honestly, I've studied a lot of other organizers. I am like an eagle eye in this industry. I watch a lot of organizer stuff. I know, I just have that instinct whenever I see she's on point, she's dialed in. No, she's still like wiggling her way around, trying to find her way. When I invite her into our Momentum family and be like, come on in, sis, we'll support you. But I see a very clear distinction. And the biggest distinction for real is the niche. Can I see within 5 seconds exactly who you're talking to? Do you have a call out on there? Hey, busy moms. Hey, realtors. You know, are the pains that you're mentioning in your posts related to the pains they face? Or are they these vague pains? And I'm going to get further into training in my paid programs about this. We're going to be doing a social media retreat coming up soon, like in 6 weeks, where we are really breaking down the pains and the desires. And those are the things that you're going to be talking about in your content. It's not the thing or buy my thing or do the thing. Okay. So what still feels unclear to you as you are listening to me talk about this? What still feels unclear? Feel free to comment and I can answer some questions. Okay, I don't see any comments yet. So do you want the social media planning guide? Type easy to this link right here. So this is Roxy, our AI bot Roxy. She's so cute, isn't she? This is also the Rockstar Organizers Facebook page. So if you were to type the word easy, this is going to be created and delivered. It's actually already pretty much created, but it's just not plugged in yet. But this is the wait list for the guide. It's going to be released sometime next week. I'm going to talk again about social media next Monday. And we can go into what Shannon is asking about. Excuse me, how to best talk to the pain. Yeah, that's a really good one. So that is my slideshow for you. Let me come back on so I can see here. So how to talk to the pain. So we have a few minutes left here. The biggest advice I can give on this is to reflect back their own words to them. So when you don't reflect back their own words to them, it becomes a little bit, I don't know if this is the right word, but patronizing in a way. If you use too much ChatGPT to try to find the pain and you're using words that are not their actual street language, but you're using words from ChatGPT. Even earlier today, I was telling one of my teammates, I'm like, I never use the word crucial, really. But ChatGPT loves the word crucial. ChatGPT loves a lot of funny words. Now, there's a place and time for AI. And you can use it as like a thought partner to get some ideas of what that person might be going through, what are they struggling with in their life. But it really comes down to what are the literal exact words that they would be complaining about to their girlfriend or to their neighbor or to their mom. So when they see the exact words reflected back, they feel like you're in their head. They feel like you get them. And why do people buy if you ultimately want them to buy? Because they feel seen and heard by you and they feel like you have the solution. So if you kind of present yourself as this person who has it all together and you're perfectly organized, it actually turns people away. Now, if you have imposter syndrome and you kind of got this like internal story situation going on, like maybe you haven't had results in your business the way that you want. So you kind of have this feeling that you have to present some side of you as if it's more desirable, that I've got this thing and so you should want this thing so I can help you get this thing. But it's actually not that way. People are more drawn to authenticity without you needing sympathy for it. So when you're authentic about your own pain without a hook that needs them to validate you, you are going to invite connection. And when your pain and their pain resonate, they automatically assume that because you know what the problem is, you know what the solution is. And when you can deeply, specifically spell out and articulate the pain in words that they would actually use, not words that you're sitting there trying to come up with, or you're trying to be all teachery about it. You're trying to teach and to make it seem as if it's us and them, like you versus them. You're actually on the same team with them. And the best teachers are the people who have struggled through that subject. So if you can think back, Shannon, and anyone else listening, to what were the points along the way of you, okay, you got in this business for a reason because you have had some measure of success. It may not be the measure you want yet. Maybe you're not all perfectly organized in your own world. If you were to think back 5 years ago, your who that you serve now is always 99.9% of the time, I shouldn't say always, a reflection of a previous version of yourself. So if you were to find journals that you wrote in 5 years ago, what were the words you were using to complain about things? Why did you get into being an organizer? Probably because there was some time in your life, there definitely has been this for me many times over. There's some time in your life that you felt the angst of where you were. I still remember me sitting on my red couch in 2008 in Waco, Texas. So many emotional attachments to my stuff, getting ready to move and thinking, why did I keep all this stuff? You know, your exact pain that became the doorway for your breakthrough is going to be a key and a mirror and a reflection for your ideal clients today, whether you know it or not. So part of understanding the pain is simply listening to them with what they're saying. What words are they literally saying? You can find this on your consult forms. You can find it in your emails whenever they first reach out to you, and look at the language that they're using. I just need to be able to do this so I can blank. That's always the pain they're in and the result they want. I just need to be able to do this so I can do what? So that's the pain and that's the desire. So you're always talking about the pain and you're talking about the desires. You're not just talking about your thing in the 12-hour package for this amount of money and we do this thing and we holler your donations and, oh my gosh, song and dance were so awesome. Nobody cares. I mean, I care. I think y'all are awesome. I think organizers are super awesome. But there's just this horrible pandemic of marketing among organizers that just sucks, because the organizers are so much about the solution and so much about talking about their thing because they've never really learned. And I'm still learning this myself. So I'm kind of bucketing myself into this. I still catch myself sometimes like, oh, I'm talking about the thing and I'm not talking about where they're at. So the key to finding the pain is to know, number one, who you're talking to, give them a name, give them a face, ask yourself, what would them getting organized make possible in their life in a very specific way, not just time to do what you love, time to pursue the things you want to do. Vanilla, 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 blah, blah, boring, right? What's it going to make possible for them? They're going to be able to take weekend trips. They're going to be able to spend time with their kids. They're going to be able to not feel like they're cleaning all the time, picking up after the kids all the time. They're going to feel like their basement is not a black hole anymore. They're going to feel like now they don't have to take 2 weeks off of work to fix this mess that they got themselves into. And the more specific you can get about the feeling words of the pain, that's not the actual word guilt or shame, even though we know that that's what they have. But when you use the words guilt and shame and you kind of are too much about the feeling too fast, it turns people off. So it's this subtle connection process. And you really have to get into their worlds. If you're trying to figure out how to get money from these people, then you really need to be asking yourself, like, what problem am I truly, truly, truly solving for these people? And the problem that you're solving is always connected to an emotion. What is the emotion that, come hell or high water, they do not want to feel that way anymore? They're just done with it. They're just done feeling that. Yeah, Sandy says, preach it, sis. I think I will. Yeah, so I think I can even comment right here. Oh, I'm learning right here. Rockstarorganizers.com/Roxy. Okay. Oh, no, I like tagged somebody I know named Roxy. No, that's not what I'm trying to do. Okay, can y'all see my comment there? Text her the word easy, and that will get you on the wait list as soon as the social media guide is ready. It's going to be a guide that we're putting together. Emily Steeman and I are working on it. All right, my friends. Hopefully this was helpful to you. I would love to know your takeaways. Oh, Jen Wetton. Hi, Jen Wetton. I haven't seen you in a whole minute. Good to see you. All right, I think that's about all I have for you today. This was fun. And really consider how to make a well-rounded social media presence that gets contacts and conversations. Do not worry about getting clients from social media. Just don't even worry about it. All it is a way to engage, and I think y'all know this by now. I think I'm preaching to the choir. All it is a way to connect. And the other thing I would tell you is start with a give. So have something ready. We're going to be doing, this is kind of a heads up. I think 98% sure I'm going to be hosting the 30-day reboot sprint again, August 15th through September 15th, which is where we make a lead magnet. Typically we do it in September, October, but because of the election, because of the travel, I'm backing it up a little bit. It's going to be 30 days, like mid-August to mid-September, where we make a lead magnet. So like the thing I just shared with you is a lead magnet. A lot of people want to have something to give, but they're not sure how to create it. And so I help you get clear in 30 days through this sprint. So that's like a heads up that that's coming later. If you're like, okay, well, I got 6 weeks to like get clear on some stuff and then I can make my lead magnet. We also have a retreat where we're going to be doing this in person. So if this is all very interesting to you and you know that you're going to want some support with this, we've got some options for that. So type retreat and we will make sure to get getting distracted by the emojis in the chat. We will make sure to get you an invitation to that. So that'll be August 15th through 16th. You can come in person to South Carolina. I'm going to be hosting it here. There also will be a virtual option, but I would really love it if you would come in person. We're going to plan 6 months of social media in 2 days with a new plan and builder that I created, like a little supercharged spreadsheet. Supercharge! All right, well, let me figure out how to end this thing now that I got this going in like 3 places. And I hope you all have an amazing day. Hope this was helpful. And I'll see y'all next week. Toodles.